Right. So thank you for joining, Ramiro. And let's just quickly go through some agenda for our smoke interview. So firstly, we'll just talk about, do some introduction. Then gonna be two sections. First one, more like soft section, soft skill, your behavior driven section in a way. And then the technical part. The technical part, we will split for two parts. One, pure pure questions about, classical Swift iOS SDKs questions. And the second part, more like example testing, let's say. So I will drop you some piece of codes and then we'll just talk about it. No live coding, no kind of algorithms thingy. Just, let's say,
Discussion.
yeah, just discussion basically, like a classic thing, nothing more. So that's it. Let's start. Let's see how it's gonna go. Let's start from the introduction. Let me start it. So my name is Ildar. I'm now located in Sweden. I'm working in the H&M as a lead engineer, and I really like to drive such sections like mock interviews or in general interviews. So always nice to see and talk with the new people and see how we can be useful for each other. Yes. What about you, Ramiro?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So I am Ramiro. I'm from Fortaleza, Brazil. I have been working with software development since 2012. I started as Android, but after that I did the Apple Develop Academy course. And after the course, I worked with other technologies like PHP, MySQL, React.js, and others. But I got back to focus on iOS in 2017. And yeah, I have worked with several projects and companies and like telecommunication companies, banking projects, and also digital wallets, e-commerces. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, really, really nice experience, I would say, especially this kind of different experience from different areas probably gives you, sense of understanding how things works in Android or in the web in a way. So that's really nice, especially for, agile teams when you need to be agile in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Cool. Right. Let's just then jump to the first part. So behavior-driven questions to warm up in a way. And just to start all this. Yeah, since you have some experience, I've seen that you have more than 5 years experience in the development, right? Or in general in development. You probably had situations where you need to review code of your teammates. So really interesting to understand how you're doing it. So, for example, you have a team of 3, 4 people, and you need to review each other, right? And you need to review someone's code. So, how do you do it?
Here you have a rule that a PR to be approved needed at least 2 likes. The team needs approve at least for two persons to be approved the PR. Yeah, I have worked.
Okay. What do you think 2 persons enough for approving PR? What exactly is 2 persons,
Yeah.
not 1 or not 3?
It depends because our team it's not a big team, So as you have less numbers from people, I think it's okay in your case. But of course, if you have a bigger team, would be better and have more likes.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. And for review, when you're reviewing someone's code, usually people trying to see for something specific or have we have some pattern to, scheme the code and catch some of the things. Can you maybe tell what usually is catching your eyes is it maybe syntax errors or some kind of boss symbols in a way?
Yeah. Here you have a partner for code style. So we see it in the PR as guardlets, as possible iflets, trolls, or something like that. You camel case, uppercase too. And also we try see if the developer is following the clean architecture that it's necessary for the improvements. So that's it. What I do.
Okay, interesting. Right. And then when you're working in the team, you usually have a designer, right? And some backend developers. And you need to, let's say you need to work on some feature where all these parts involved. What would you say is the best way for communication about new feature, or how to be sure that some specific feature is, in the best shape when you're finishing it? Or when you finish the work, how to be sure that all the parts in the place when you're
Yeah,
working.
it's a very good question. It's a complex one, you know. Yeah, and I think the design, maybe it's the first parts of the idea. We, as a mobile developer, works in all the parts from the idea, you know. And so when the design present the idea for us, it would be nice to see if you have some technical implications from the implemented implementations. And after that, when you are implement the feature that is approved for design and for us, we need to see if the backend it's everything all right, or what you need implementing the backends, or
Hmm.
to
Can
develop
you?
it in the mobile.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And let's say design is finished for
Mhm.
starting the work, but backend not. Is there any way you can still start working, or you will wait for backend fully finish, be finished the work?
No, honestly, we can start to work and creating the views at least. But of course, it's that will depends from the case. But as assume that you have a BFF, and we can close a contract. You know, like agree in a agree. Be agreement in a contract. Sorry, and yeah, it started develops the view, and maybe with creating a mock or something like that.
Right, right. Yeah, sounds great. And let's say the final question for this, the classic situation when you have some technical debt as unit tests or some refactoring, and you also have your features that needs to be delivered. How do you find a balance in that, or how do you maybe as a senior developer can recommend to your management or team how to resolve it? So you're not stuck fully in the backlog with all this technical depth, but also you delivering the features. Do you have any tips, tricks, how you find the balance between technical depth and actual features?
Can you repeat the first sentences,
Yeah, yeah.
please?
So
Because
how do you find the balance between the technical depth, so basically tests or
okay.
refactorings, and the features that you need to deliver? Because, actually, usually management pushing for features, right? Or business pushing for
Mm-hmm.
new features to release. But you know that you need to cover something with a unit test
Yeah.
or refactor something because in the future there is some consequences for that. So how do you find this balance? How do you kind of
Yeah,
selling?
honestly, I think that's for a mature team. We need to spend at least like a time to cover some tasks and fix some bugs and improve also our code bases. I think I found I find the balance for it like and like I haven't taken priorization from the features between the others things that you need to improve the codes, like the tests and the others refactors that you need to do, as I said.
Right,
So
right.
I think it would be a priorization
Okay.
between these ones.
Yes, yes. All right. So I guess we can wrap up with these behavior questions and then smoothly go to technical part. But I'll just give you some, feedback after each section. So not to forget about the things. This section, I would say that all good for behavior questions. Your answer is solid about how you behave, how you do, especially part about how do you find the balance in the technical part between these features and technical depth, because you have such experience. I mean, this is something where you can recognize that person has some experience to actually work on technical depth, not just work purely on the features, because you really need to think about it, and you really need to reserve some time in the your daily work or your sprint or whatever you call it, for specifically for technical depth. You could be a bit maybe descriptive in a way for how exactly you can do this. Let's say that you can reserve 20% of sprint for technical depth, or have some iterations and communication in the team that if we will not do this, then there is the consequences for businesses to sell it in a way for the team, and present it. It's not just some outdated work or not needed work, but something really important, not only for us as the developers, but first of all to the business. Yes, right.
Thank you.
Let's jump to the technical part. Yep. Let's just start from some easy ongoing questions. So where in the Swift we have structures and classes. Can you explain me what is the differences between these two?
Yeah, the main difference is because the struct it's a value type and class it's a reference type. So it creates an reference in the memory. So it's the main difference.
All right. Maybe can we, for example, inherit structure from another structure?
And no, you can't, I think.
Can we inherit classes?
Because it's like a structure, it's a copy one from the object. So yeah, it's immutable.
Yeah, right. Can we inherit classes?
Yeah.
Yes. Can we inherit, let's say, two classes? So one, we have class A, and then we inherit class B, class C.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So how we can do this? So I described, or you meant something else?
Yeah, you can create like a final class and like inherit to other like a network protocol class, and that would be inherit from a protocol, and you have a network service class and a mock services networks.
Okay, so you meant protocols, but I mean, can you inherit classes just after comma class? You have class A, and then you have just a pure class B, and then comma class C, comma class D. Can you do this?
Yeah, you can do it like and create like an let's see a knowledge case and view controller that would inherit some functions to analyze to send to the crash rates, or send to the Firebase analytics your some functions to analyze. And also, or you can create an view that would have a background like rounded and gray. I don't know. And every view that your design systems would be inherited from this one. It can be created in the final class, and yeah, like a super class.
Got it. Right. Let's move further maybe a bit. So, in the Swift we have different types, right? So, and we have so-called primitive types that usually variables, and we have reference types that usually is something bigger than just pure variables. Can you tell me what is in this system? What is closures? Are they reference types or are they value types?
Yeah, honestly, no, I don't know about it.
Not sure. Closures. You know closures, right?
Yeah, I know closures.
Okay, but I'm not sure where to. Okay, no problem. Right, and then maybe if we go a step further, let's maybe speak about the memory management. So we have a memory management. Can you explain how it works in the iOS?
Yeah, we have a GCG on iOS, on iOS, and it works with a lot of threads. And yeah, we have a R2 that's that have the memory management for count reference, and yeah, it's the automatically way that Swift works with memory management.
Right. And for Arc, you have, so can you maybe explain in the details a bit how our ARC works for us? How
Yeah,
that works?
every time that you create a new object, it counts one reference from this object, this one. And when the object would be deallocated, they decrease this reference from the memory management. But of course, if you create some strong and reference, it could be not decreased and maybe be crash the app, creates a memory leak
Do you know
in some
how
cases.
it called this kind of bad situation when you have one strong reference to another strong reference, two classes have strong references to each other? Do you know how this situation called?
The how the situations goes, it's yeah, I know the exactly name, but I forget, sorry.
No, it's not problem. It's called retain cycle, right?
Everything
Uh,
cycle, yes, okay,
yes.
yeah.
So because you can't retain actually
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cycle. How to resolve it? Do you know how to resolve such situations?
Yeah, you can use weak or unknown, so
Right.
two options to resolve it.
And what's the difference between those two? We can
Because
know.
weak it's at up to an one, and unknown you guarantee the app that it's you have it's like an enforcement app
Yeah.
in others.
Right. And that's interesting. So when we're working with this, right? So I see that almost no one use a null. Do you know any scenario where you can actually use a null and be totally safe with that?
Questions. Well, I think you can use it node like when you have an reference between just one class, like when you have a protocol inside in a cell, for example, and the view controller has the table view. You know that this protocol just will exists in this case because the cell it's just in there in this view controller. It not be used in anyone in somewhere. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so you can use nodes in this case. That wouldn't be a problem.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So let's then jump to next one with the just maybe about the, coming back to the closures. So we have a closures, right? And they have some specific, I would say, working with the references. When we're working with the references inside the closures, can you tell what we need to be aware of?
You need to be aware of the retain cycle. That's what you want to know. I don't know if I understood everything. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's one thing. I agree. But for inside the closures, how we can, how be safe with this kind of retain cycles? What we should.
You can use weak self, as
Mhm.
we said, and guidelets to
Okay.
the view.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then, so for closures, sometimes when I'm using it for the functions, from time to time, it has a bit different syntaxes in the, in the function name. Sometimes it's called escaping. Sometimes
Escaping.
it's not escaping. Can you tell me the difference between this? What's the point to put this escaping?
Yeah, I already used it before, of course, but yeah, I can't exactly remember. But as I think escaping, as I can remember escaping, I think you can pass a code of block
Mm-hmm.
to be executing in the other when the user would be call this function with the closer. So you have a completion one that I can remember. Sorry, but yeah, my knowledge
Well,
about that
you have
it's not
something
good.
somewhere close by the answer, but yes, okay, got it. Right, and then so the closures really, they are very powerful, right? But do you think it's a best practice to use closures as parameters for functions today? into
I
the
think
gear.
protocol-oriented object would be better.
Right. But in the case when you need to, let's say, when I have a function and after that function, after finished, we want to call another function.
Yeah,
And
you can
the
use also.
guaranteed sequence, that's right. As we use, with closures as a parameters usually, because when it's the parameter, we calling it callback or completion block, and then we calling it and then putting some piece of code there to be called after the function or after we complete it.
Yeah, today I think it would be better using the try Async-Await in this case.
Right. Yeah. Good. Async-Await is a modern way for threading, right? And working with
Mm-hmm.
the threads. Do you know any old style way for working with the threads? What do we have to use in a normal multi-threading without Async-Await?
Dispatch queries, you mean?
Yeah, for example, dispatch queue, something else.
Yeah, dispatch queries, as you said, the completions in some case to be
Specifically for working in the
dispatch
multi-thread.
group dispatch.
But that's just a part of GCD. So we have a
Yeah,
GCD, we have Async-Await. Something else? Do you know about something else? Some
no, that I
tool
can
that we
remember. Sorry.
have you heard about the operation queues?
Operation queues, yes, but I never worked with. Yeah, but I have a work.
Right. So for those things to work, so that this Async-Await and GTD in general, we're saying that it's multi-threading, right? In our project, but does it really clear multi-thread in our apps? Or I mean, how does it work that we can do things on different threads? If we have iPhones with just one or two core, actual physical core, I mean, do you know how? But I can create hundreds of threads. I can create hundreds of calls and GCD, different priorities. Or how does it work? Do you know general? What does it mean for us, this multi-threading for the apps? Is it the same as NVIDIA? When you have thousands of separate threads where each works separately, or is works differently for us?
Let me see. We have a concurrence and also, oh my gosh, I forgot the
No,
other
it's
name.
fine.
Yeah, and you can create, you can work with that. If you create other, like you said, it would be just to be more organized to us, or just but it's not. We work like in really so many different strategies. It would be more for organize the codes. For we just have these two ways to work with it, at the simultaneous and the asynchronous ones. Yeah, I don't know if you want to know about it. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, okay, it's everything fine. Let's then talk about, that's a good thing. So we talked about the threads and concurrency, how the things works. And the part of this, so you talked about the Async-Await, how this works. But part of this topic is also so-called actors. Do you know what is actors? How do we work with these actors thing?
Yeah, you mean these annotations that you
Yeah, for example,
you
annotations.
yeah you using some annotations to put this whole object or just the functions in a specific branch, like a main actor.
Okay, but do you know that we can actually create actor ourselves?
Yeah, you can create actors like this.
So,
Yeah,
so we have class, we have structure, and then we have actor as a
mhm.
a keyword. We can create actor something. Do you know what it give us to create in such a way? For example, some class, user manager, or something like this.
Yeah, actors, as I said, change the block or the objects, and it's markets that it would be due in a well, It's markets the code or the function on a code block to do something that you want, that you like a main actor. It would be that you mark the code block to be executed in the main QA, like to create an actor for other, like at this table, you would be do that the code of block is this table from the current app.
Okay, but I'm saying that. So you're saying about the marking something as attribute, like main actor or something like that for the class, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a property in the class.
Yeah.
What I'm saying that we can create actor as for example, you have a, let's say, network manager or user manager that manages users. You have a class, user manager, something. In the same way, we can create actor, user manager, something. Do you know what would be the difference, or what is the scenarios when would be nice to create actors such?
Understood.
Or
yeah, honestly, no, I never worked with this
okay,
type of actor.
got it. And probably last thing about just in this topic. So we have so-called thing solid. Have you heard about the solid?
Yeah.
And there is some something called the dependency injection. Just interesting how you would do it in the project without any, with or without frameworks. If you have worked with some frameworks, just tell me with which, how you worked, and the scenario when you don't have any frameworks, how you would do it.
Yeah, I have worked with SwiftUI,
Mm-hmm.
but also with products without SwiftUI, and we create our own factories. Sometimes builders are necessary to inject some dependencies too. And sometimes just it's a complex subject, like just an init with others. It's already an injection dependency. So yeah.
All right. Yes. I mean, cool framework. Right. Let's wrap up with this part. Yeah. You've been really great for this part. I have just maybe a few comments. So just about the first question, you remember, was about the inheritance in the Swift, and can we inherit multiple classes? And there might be some misunderstanding, but the thing, just to be clear here, in the iOS, in the Swift and Objective-C, we don't have multiple class inheritance. Just as example, as just I said it. So we have class A, then you have inheritance from class B, then comma, inheritance class C. You can't do it. So that's why we're using protocols. That's why we're using, but we can use like simulate it in a way. So in a protocol oriented programming, when you have multiple protocols, we have, infinite amount of protocols that we can implement. But it's a different one, right? So between inheritance and implementation or something, but in a way, we can simulate it, because what we can do, we can extend the protocol and then do default implementation for each function, right? Of the protocol, for example. That meaning that we have a default implementation for functions. And whoever inherits or implements these protocols actually has default implementation for functions, same way as it would have during the inheritance of these functions from another class. You see what I mean, right? So this is the trick where we could use to have this kind of multiple inheritance. Doesn't mean it's always need to be in place. Doesn't mean it's always good, but just the fact that we don't have multiple inheritance, but we can simulate it in a way with the protocol-oriented programming, with extending it and giving a default implementation for the functions. Right. The other one about the actors. So basically just my comment that, check it out, how it works. Because it's something that now on the top of discussions, where to use it, where not to use it.
Yeah.
I would say it's helpful for some specific group of tasks. So the difference would be that actors makes your data inside it secure for threats, for concurrency, but it has some drawbacks, or it has some tricks. So you need to be aware of something there. So doesn't mean that you guarantee that everything that runs inside the actors threat safe. If something comes from outside, if you have some parameters and functions that comes from outside, there is no threat safe anymore, even though it works inside the actors. But whatever inside class as property in the class, as some variable, in the class, some counters, some other classes, it's safe. So that's just cool to know. And for scenarios like maybe network manager, maybe user manager, maybe some credentials, or other parts when you need thread safes, that's a good idea to create actor. But yeah, it has some definition, it has some behavior. So the part about the in general about the actors is said, right? That we have this kind of main actors and to run everything in there. You could be a bit more descriptive in a way why we need it or how it help us. Yes, I didn't ask it, but you can just tell it that, okay, we have these kind of main actors. It helps us to run everything on the main thread, on the main queue, and we save there. So that's really helpful because before we needed to run in dispatch queue main async everywhere, for example, to guarantee that this code works. And now if you just mark it with the main actor, and then in most scenarios, it runs on the main queue. Again, there is some scenarios when something could go wrong, but it's a bit harder scenarios, not just a normal when you're just calling some functions or you're changing some variables. That should be pretty fine. Right, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, yep, we talked clear. Was something? Yeah, the closures. I asked you about the closures, right? It's a class. It's a reference type, of course. There are closures because you can pass them. I asked if the closures value type or reference type. Remember this?
Yeah, I remember this, but I didn't understood.
Yeah, it might be again misunderstanding in a way. So just saying that the closures reference types. So that's why we can pass them in the parameters of functions. That's why we can, in general, working with them in such way that we can call them afterwards. Same for escaping, non-escaping. You answered in a way for this, but the clear answer would be that escaping closures, they basically escaping current context, meaning you have a function that returns something. So escaping closures can be called after function returned. And non-escaping will be always called, just sequentially. It's called and then something returned. So in the moment when you have some thread work or some async work where you're calling this kind of closure, the compiler, it has compiler check. A compiler will tell you to put escaping there because you will call this closure afterwards, after the function finished, just to cover up this topic as well. Right? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's now jump to interesting part, practical part. So I will send to the chat some part of the codes. And if it's fine to you, you can maybe share your screen with a playground. If you can just start it. I've sent some code in the chat, if you see it. Nice. Yeah, just pass it there and then let's discuss. Right. So you can maybe, just ignore it. It's fine. So you can maybe just increase the font size here.
Increase font size?
Yeah, just or command plus maybe. Yep. Nice. Right. So let's just ignore this. It's just thread safe checks. It's fine. But in general, let's just discuss this code. How do you feel about this code? Do you see any problems with this code? What kind of problems you see? What would you improve?
I think here I will check in this way. Let's say this case, if they're this way, you pass the data.
What do you
need this one too?
Right.
And you need to put an return to avoid call twice.
Okay.
That I can see.
Right. Okay. What do you think about the first two constants that we have in the class?
First constants. I didn't see
these two.
it.
Do you have any comments about this?
I would say that if it's a charge, would it be static? It needed to be no, it's needed to be static, but not sendable.
That's fine. I mean, you don't need to mark anything for now. Let's discuss, just a singleton here. So you have a shared as a singleton, right, for network manager.
Yeah.
Any comments on that? Do you feel it's fine?
I think we need to create an initialize it to let's assume that it would be just one and init, but yeah, I can't see any problems here. Sorry. I think
Okay. For the session, is it fine to have such a session as shared one here? Just use the shared one.
yeah, I don't see any problems.
Okay. Right. So if today you would do something like that, let's say you need to load data, would you do it like this kind of function? Or would you do it differently?
If today I do, I think I wanted to create a network charge. I will create a final class with a protocol.
Okay. So
And
why would you need the protocol?
no, to with some gets the other ones like but and everything else, and the load data would be my network would be in my network service. I think.
But the way it implemented, do you like it, the way the implementation way of this function? Or you would change it to something else?
For the function, you mean?
Yeah, for the function itself.
The setting? Yeah,
So you basically need to load
it's
data, right, by URL, some URL that coming. It could be, let's say, images, whatever. You have some URLs. And then after you got it, you need to do something with this data. Would you use function like this for your real project, or how we would do it?
no, in my real products, of course not, because it's a simple function.
Yes.
And yeah, it just puts an URL. You don't know if the URL is a UTF-8
Okay.
string. Also, sometimes you need methods, parameters, and everything. Yeah, else to do this one. But for a simple function, I don't see in big project any huge problem.
Okay. Yes. Right. I mean, there could be, of course, different way for improvements of this function. One of the way would be using Async-Await instead of completion blocks, right? So would you use how today in your work or in your pet project, what would you prefer, using the completion blocks for such functions,
No,
or
I prefer using Async-Await.
Async-Await? Yeah. So this could be, also mentioned in a way. So, but I know that you know it. So just to be clear here, for you see inside the function there is the multiple completions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And multiple places. Do you know any way to move this completion just in one place that guarantees that it's always called?
Yeah, you can put that. Put like that.
Got it. Yeah, that could be one way. And let's say that inside this task you have more if else's or guards inside. For example, when you need to parse JSON or do something else.
So sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Yeah. So let's assume that you have multiple if else's inside this task,
Yeah,
right? So when you need to
like
call
it,
it, yeah,
like
like here. So let's leave this scenario when you have this. But do you know any way to still call just this completion just once inside the function, but without changing the signature?
Without changing?
Yes. Some way, some block of code that will be guaranteed, then there is guarantee that it will be executed before function is returned. When everything is finished, it will be executed.
Yeah, I just want one
Have you heard about that defer?
defer.
Yes. Do you know about it? Let's see how we would do it.
Yeah, I already know about in-out and defer, but I can't apply in this these
Okay.
situations.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Just so you know that in some scenarios when you need to return after all the code is run, best practice to use return defer. It's just as just a simple block that will be called after function return. That could be better if you're using still such completions when you need to do this. But
And
the
how
best
I
way,
use here?
yeah, exactly here.
It's
So
like that.
you would return here, but you'll need to provide then you create before defer variable that holds inside possibly data. So you would work with the data. It would be nil or something. And if you would
Understood.
have an error as well in the part of the completion block, then you would need to do the same. So it's either exists or by default just a nil, and it will be executed after this task finished. Right, and then let's just maybe check one more example. Yeah, just wondering, have you worked with the SwiftUI?
Yes, but
Yes,
my main
that's
background is UIKit.
but your main, but have you really worked with the SwiftUI in a way?
Yeah, in just views,
And
some
just
views.
okay, got it. Let's maybe what we can do. Let's maybe combine it. Okay, so UIKit you said, right? Gonna be simple example, too simple for you. Just drop it to you.
This one.
Yep. Any problems here?
And problems, yeah. We have changes in a global QA. It would be in the main QA. And
Right.
also, it would be better if you have thread safe, thread safe, nor retain cycle safe to view.
I would say that you don't need it here. You can
Yeah, because
actually,
you can
yeah,
assume that it's just. But yeah, I prefer using every time.
for
I don't
safeness, I
know.
got it,
Yeah.
yes. But then what would be if you here, instead of async, main async will use main sync? Would be any difference?
Yeah. When you use sync, you are like stuck the codes, the view, and the codes would be execute. So the layout it would stuck in the view.
But is it always true that it will be stuck?
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, why even this sync exists then? So can we use it sometimes, or is it
Yeah,
always?
if you have a very important info or you need like an codes to be executing in the same time that you want, it would be better use sync.
Okay, right. But let's say today, can you maybe change this code in a way that you don't need to use the async dispatch command async at all? What we should change here? So we know that this function called after data loaded, right?
Uh-huh.
So inside, let's say some background queue when we did some request, how you can change it. So because I would say that we don't need to use this particular main async at all.
Yeah, because you mean that it's if the functions wouldn't be called from an API, you mean?
Like let's say you're using in today code you have some background work, right? You have
Mm-hmm.
background request, and then you have such view controller with this kind of load data.
Mm-hmm.
How to change this code so you don't need to use this particular main async. So it's always executed on the main, because this particular main async just creates this kind of doom effect, like a spacing. You just wrapped up it to some part of code.
You mean like put a main actor here
For example,
or here?
okay, interesting, yes, right. And the interesting question would be, does view controller here in the class view controller, is it main actor or not?
It's can be, but in this case, no. It's just
No,
the
if you
function.
didn't put it here, yeah. So if it's just like that,
Yeah, it's just like that. Just
just a
this code block would be in the main actor.
I got it. Yeah, I mean, then we can wrap up. So just for comment for this one, would be nice to know for you that in this example, view controller is main actor.
Really?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing to remember, because if you go inside UI view controller, if you open it, somehow in your project inside, you will see that in today iOS development, all the UI view controllers, all the UI views, they are inherent from, or they have main actor, basically. So all your views, all your controllers, if they are part of the UI view controller, then they are by default, they have main actor, meaning you don't need to put main actor at all. It will always run this function on the main. So the only thing that you would need to do to be sure that your changes, if you're using Async-Await, nothing you need to
Be
do.
concerned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
Okay.
you'll just call it then, because actors and Async-Await knows how to switch the context, knows that this part of code should be run on the background, and this part of code now returning back from the context to this actor and running this part of code here. So that's purely safe. The only moment when you need to put this kind of marks, main actors, when you have your personal classes, like some view models, something like that.
Yeah,
That is the
understood.
classes. So then you, of course, need to think, should you put it there or not? Usually, yes. If you do something related to view, you just put main actor on top of the class. But now in the modern iOS, I think that comes with a new release, all the classes, if I remember correctly, will be by default. Everything will be by default main actor, as it's supposed to be, all the properties, and you can turn it off for some functions if you need.
Very nice. I didn't know about it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, I think it's useful to remember for your code, because
Yeah, very
if
uses.
you just put it as sometimes people putting dispatch queue main async or running
Mm-hmm.
main actors for no reason, basically, because every time you're putting it to the code, meaning that you're just delaying it for some amount of nanoseconds whenever this part of code. At the same time, it could be executed instantly. And sometimes it could affect your animation or some presentation, in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being smooth, it could just be a little bit delayed and then presented for no reason, when you can actually just, use
To
it.
remove it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
understood. Yeah.
let's wrap up in general. Ramiro, I think we did a great job. So how do you feel about the running through this interview? Was it hard for you? Was it easy for you?
Yeah, it was hard to me.
Okay.
Now I know that I need to study some points. I have some lacks of knowledge, but it would be very nice to me to see what they want for me and what I need to study more. And I did some notes that you told told to
Uh-huh.
me. So
Yep. Sure. You can
thank you so
always
much.
ping me. If you have some questions or something, I'll can reconcile what was the problem, or what was the questions. But in general, I think it was really good session.
It's very different for interviews in Brazil, you know. Yeah, it's very different because in Brazil you just they want to know more about the real job, you know,
Mhm.
like and you as interviewer knew about the knowledge of the deep knowledge of the Swift was very nice to have this interview. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I should say that all the interviews, all the how it behaves, it's really depends on the company, right? On the situation, because usually when we're interviewing someone to the company, we not just interview some random person to random position. There is actual position, actual team, actual expectation from this person, and that gives the more context usually to the interview. Here on the mock interview, on the other side, we have to go generally about things, just pick more general topics. Of course, if you would interview to, some audio company, we would talk about the audio, core kits, some very different frameworks, audio frameworks, and how you would work with this. It's really depends to the where you're going. But I think so that was a great going through all these topics sections. So I hope it was useful for you. And
Yeah, it was.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Yes. Bye bye.